Hi, my name's Pete Lewis from Cheshire Classic Benz, and today I'm going to show you a beautiful 1993 Mercedes 320 CE Cabriolet that we have for sale. I'm just going to go into the barn, start it up from cold and bring it out to show you. Right, just a little word about the car itself, or rather the model. This is the pre-facelift version, which was only built from, I think it was June 93 to August 93 when they introduced the model to the UK market, and then immediately facelifted it. So incredibly rare with the pre-facelift grille and details. And so much nicer for that, I think. This particular one, in quite a rare pale colour scheme. The majority of them are in dark colours. You'll notice that I've flipped off the jacking point covers just so that I can show you the jacking points themselves. I'm going to start at the front near side corner, take you around the car, then I'm going to show you the engine bay, the boot, the interior of the car, and then we'll look at the underneath of the car. There is very little that I can show you on this car in terms of negative things, but I'm going to point out anything that I find. It'll be the odd stone chip, not much more besides that, but anything that I find that is negative I'm going to point out to you, because if you buy this car we want you to be fully aware of what you're buying and very satisfied with your purchase. So let's start at the corner. So I can't really see any problems at all. The headlamp glass, the indicator glass, the paintwork, the bumpers, no scuffs on the corner of the bumper, certainly no corrosion anywhere in the usual sort of places along the bottom edge of the wing or on the arch. I'll just take you around the arch as best I can, but I think you can see, and I can tell you for sure, that it is as clean as a whistle. The wheels similarly newly refurbished. If you've seen this car on our website, the photographs there were taken before the wheels were refurbished, and somebody, I'm sure with the best of intentions, had them buffed to a sort of dull sheen, which was nothing like any factory finish that Mercedes had ever put on them. So we've had them refurbished to the correct powder coat finish. The wheel bolts are beautiful with the stainless steel caps all polished. The tyres are brand new Continentals all round with very recent date code on them, 2018 I think. Yeah, it's lovely in all those respects. Just going along the wing here, I can see a tiny little paint chip, a little scuff I think you could call it there. Nothing else at all there. Screen pillar perfect. No visible delamination around the edges of the windscreen, certainly not on this side. We'll look at the other side when we come to that. No marks to the wing mirror. Nothing that I can see on the door. There's a couple of flies there, but they won't come with the car. Lower panels likewise, doesn't appear to be a mark on them. Rear quarter panel, again I'm looking very hard for marks and stone chips, and I'm not seeing any. Is that a little mark there? Yeah, there's a tiny little chip just there. No corrosion under the edge of the wing. There is a little scratch there on the plastic panel. Rear wheel, same comments apply as the front, and the arch again completely, well, perfect. Going round to the rear quarter, we've got the rear light, no cracks, fading or anything like that. No marks on the corner of the bumper. You'll see the end of a new exhaust poking out there. We'll deal with that when we come to that part of the car. The J plate, incidentally, was a personalised registration from the first owner of the car. This registration's been on it since it was new. It is actually a K plate car by its age, and DVLA will generally issue an age-related plate if you ask them. But I think it looks quite nice, the low number registration. Boot lid. Again, I can't see. Oh, there's a tiny little chip, scuff there, there's a fly there. In fact, there's one or two flies actually. We are on a farm here, so we tend to get a few flies in the summer. While we're here, let's just have a look in the boot. Oh, you'll notice the 320 CE badging as opposed to E320, which the later ones have, which is part of the difference. In the boot, we've got a full set of carpet mats, which I'll just remove. Boot carpet, perfect condition. Working boot light, which is very often not the case on the 124 Cabriolets because of the route that the wiring takes, and it gets broken with movement on the hinge there. We've got the original first aid kit, which, a lovely touch on the early cars, is colour keyed to the interior. All the later ones had black. We've got there is a CD changer in there. Underneath the carpet, we've got the full-size spare wheel, full tool kit as from the factory, beautifully clean in the and the jack, beautifully clean in the spare wheel well. As you can see, so I think that's probably all I need to show you in the boot. I'll just put the mats back in. Oh, the collapsible warning triangle specific to this model, very difficult to replace if it's missing. Going around the driver's side, rear lamp, again no cracks, discoloration, distortion, no marks to the bumper corner. Oh, actually, one thing that I did spot and I didn't mention, there is a little stone chip just there on the edge of the boot aperture, which has been touched in. All of the stone chips, if there are any, have been touched in to my knowledge. Fuel flap, all lovely and clean inside there. Original stickers in place. Side panel, is that a little scratch? Yeah, just a tiny little scratch just underneath there, out of normal sight. No corrosion along the bottom edge there, which is often a spot where you get it. Rear arch, again perfect, no sign of any deterioration, dents, corrosion, anything. And wheel and tyre as before, absolutely perfect. Can I see any marks in the paintwork? I don't appear to be able to. There's a tiny little chip just there. You might not even be able to see it, just on the edge of the door. All the glass is lovely. Again, the driver's door. Is that a scuff? Yeah, tiny little mark just there. Tiny little scuff on the bottom of the mirror there, but it's a plastic housing. I don't think it's doing any harm. It's very difficult to spot actually. Again, the windscreen pillar, no marks whatsoever, and the satin anodised bronze finished aluminium screen surround, nothing to speak of there marks wise, and similarly no delamination to the screen on the driver's side. Front wing, I don't think I can see any problems whatsoever, and certainly nothing that you would call corrosion. Wheel arch, clean as a whistle again, and along the bottom edge of the wing, absolutely perfect. Wheel again, perfect finish, and the new tyre that we talked about. I'm just going to see if I can look along the flank of the car. I can't see any ripples, dents, anything, and I'm just going to do the same on the other side. Same. There might be the merest hint of a little parking dent in the middle of the passenger door, but equally it could be a trick of the light. It's so tiny if it is. Just resuming where we were. Offside indicator, headlamp, perfect. No scuffs to the corner of the bumper. Front grille, the plastic insert, no marks whatsoever. And the chrome surround equally, and the badge. Nothing that I can see whatsoever. So I'm just going to put the I'll show you under the bonnet. Let's show you under the bonnet next. I'll just go in and open the bonnet. Right, so we've got what appears to be the original under bonnet mat, which again is perfect, no deterioration there. The engine bay itself, top of the engine, air cleaner housing, washer bottle, header tank, fuse box, brake fluid reservoir and servo, all, well, as new really. I can't see any deterioration whatsoever. Can't see the exhaust manifold, but the heat shield over it is perfect and in complete order. Let's have a look at the oil. Lovely and clean. If the servicing schedule requires it, we will do a lubrication service before it goes out. Radiator looks, well, there's no marks or dents or anything in it. Power steering reservoir, thermostat housing, fairly new battery, all of the suspension turrets, inner wings, oh there's the ABS pump, inner wings and chassis rails, chassis legs, all lovely, as you can see on this side too. Well, you can't see very well, but I'm showing you them as best as I can. I think that's probably all I can show you under the bonnet, exactly as you would hope to find it, I think, and in lovely order throughout. I'm going to close the bonnet. I'm going to put the camera back where it was and then put the hood down and show you the interior of the car. I think you can see what you need to see there. Sorry, forgot to show you the outside of the hood. I'll do that before I put the hood down. Fabric of the hood, perfect all round. One or two little scuffs to the stitching that goes across the hood. I think somebody has probably taken it through a car wash at some stage, so it has fluffed up a bit of the stitching, but other than that, you've got the usual fold mark there, you've got the usual little wear mark there, and just the start of a little bit of wear there, although it is actually just a mark at the moment. It's not even broken the surface of the fabric. The stitching down the sides of the hood is perfect, that applies to both sides as well. Heated rear window, glass, standard spec. Oh, it looks like we've had a visit from a bird already while I've been walking around. Have to wipe that off. There's the rest of the hood. I'll just show you the inside of the hood before I put the top down. You can see that the headlining is all, well, pretty much as new. Just very, very tiny bit of discoloration on the rear quarter where you get it folding against the mechanism. The odd little darker mark there, but no breaks or scuffs or tears or anything like that in the fabric. Right, so I'll carry on and do what I was going to do now. I'll put the camera back where it was, put the top down. You might have noticed that I went through the full cycle of putting the hood down, allowing the windows to come back up afterwards. You don't have to do that, you can leave them down and just stop it at that point if you want to, but I wanted to show that everything's working perfectly, and then I've put the hood down, the windows down, just so I can get better access to the inside. Okay, so the inside of the car. Starting at the uppermost, we've got the sun visors with the illuminated mirrors, and you'll probably know that these on the older cars are very often, well, the hinges are very often damaged, so the flaps fall off. These are all in perfect condition. Top of the header rail, perfect as well. Dashboard, absolutely as new. No cracks, fading, etc. Well, actually, I think there is a bit of fading actually. You can see that the dashboard there is a very slightly different colour than the airbag housing, which I can only assume is differential fading on two pieces of material that were made by two different manufacturers. So interesting that, and also you can see that there is a slight colour difference between the the gear shift surround and the box, the storage box. Product of age, I would think. I can't say any more than that. The wood generally perfect, except for one little exception that I will point out. There is a little bit of crazing in the lacquer just on the bit ahead of the gear stick, but that's all. That's the only place that appears. Everything else is perfect. Armrest, no cracks to the piping whatsoever or scuffs to the leather. Very often badly worn and cracked where people have leaned on it. Concertina shutter, perfect order. You've got your little box for your radios front there. In the days when people used to bother to steal radios out of cars, that's working perfectly. That's lockable. Going up to the or down to the seats rather, we can see that the passenger seat, I can't see a single mark on it. Yeah, that's fine. Rear seat, likewise, doesn't appear to be any deterioration. There's a little something I can see on the other side. I'll have a look at that when I get around the other side. So the seat, rear armrest, lovely, probably never used, and the rear seat belt clips. Rear carpet, I can't lift them because they are built into the car, but lovely and as new, and the elastic pockets still nice and taut, not probably used at all. I'll just lift the front carpets so you can see underneath there. So you've got your usual bit of wiring for the stereo there, but other than that, just a bit dusty, exactly as it came out of the factory. And the carpets themselves, perfect. Obviously you've got your floor mats in the boot to go in there. Right, let's just look at the sills. I've mentioned this before on other videos, but the silver strips here, very often to be found crinkled or even missing because they are very delicate. I'm not sure why Mercedes even bothered to put them on, to be frank, although to their credit, we are talking 27 years after this car came out of the factory, so I don't think we can be too critical. There is a little tiny mark just there on the silver, actually I think it's a bit of, you might just scrape off that actually. All lovely on the sill as well. Door card, no marks that I can see, other than that fly just above the internal handle. This little window, lots of people ask what it, well no, not lots of people, occasionally we get asked what that's for. It's so you can slide the service book into that little slot there, and the next service mileage comes up in the window. Obviously this will be the driver's side on a left-hand drive car. So if you've been lying awake at night wondering what that is, now you know. Underneath the door, no deterioration or rust or anything. Looks absolutely perfect. Right, I'm going to go around the other side. Oh, let's just look at the rear deck. Again, we've got a few little flies, obviously big Mercedes fans. There isn't any mark or staining or anything that I can see on the vinyl of the rear deck. Other side, similarly in the back, that little mark that I spotted, I think must have been a fly. It's gone anyway, so there we are. Carpets again in the back, lovely and as new. Same with the little elastic pocket, which is lovely and taut. Driver's seat, not a single mark that I can see, including on the bolster, which normally gets scuffed by people getting in and out of the car. Carpets again, lovely. and I'll just lift them again to show you underneath, and lovely, exactly as you would want to see it. Steering wheel, not a single mark, very often scuffed and scraped by people's rings, but in this case no marks whatsoever. Instrument binnacle showing 51,464 miles. There's a little bit of deterioration just in the bottom of the LCD screen for the outside temperature gauge, but as you can see it is working perfectly. Oh, and also just while we're switching the ignition on, you can see that the seat belt handover arms are both working perfectly as well, as they will be on all the cars that we sell, even if I forget to tell you about that. Ashtray, I don't think has ever been used. Looks like the original Alpine radio cassette, which matches with the CD changer in the boot. Let's just have a look in the rear ashtray. Yeah, again, I'm sure that's never been used. Oh yeah, the foil strips on this side just showing the tiniest bit of wrinkling, but they are fully intact, fully in position. Nothing that you would criticise, I don't think, on a 27 years old? Yes, 1993 anyway, a long time ago. Just under the door again, lovely and clean. No corrosion, no rust, no nothing. And the door card, likewise, lovely. Right, I'm now going to go grovelling on the floor and show you the sills and the underside of the car, and particularly the jacking points, because like I've said before, very often you get a horrible mess of rust and corrosion and everything under here. Not an MOT test point, because the MOT testers aren't allowed to take the covers off, of course, so you do get cars that have got clean MOTs that have got hardly any jacking point left. That is absolutely beautiful and perfect, no deterioration whatsoever there. I'll just do the underside of the car while I'm looking at those, and you can see that there's hardly even any surface rust on the heavier components of the underside, and you can see there it's got a brand new rear exhaust section right from the centre joint. I can't really see what the camera's seeing here. I hope you can. You can see the reinforcing bars there that are specific to the Cabriolet, and there to compensate for the lack of roof, which they do very well. The front jacking point, just as clean, just as lovely as the rear one. Very often you get the tube remaining and all the metal around it has just corroded away, but like I say, very often on cars that have got a full MOT, bizarrely. Right, let's just go and have a look on the other side. Front jacking point again, gorgeous, a bit dusty, might even be a cobweb in there actually. Then we've got underneath the front again, and heading towards the rear. Pretty much everything I've said on the other side applies here. And again, the rear jacking point, absolutely gorgeous, lovely and clean. Right, so let's just go under the rear, see if we can see anything under there. Looks like we might have a tiny bit of dampness on the differential housing, which is pretty much standard on Mercedes of this era, that either the input shaft or one of the output shafts will have a tiny little leak, but It's not even dripping on the floor or anything, it's just a bit of moisture. You can see there the two little devices that sense if either of the rear wheels is coming off the ground, and shoots the tombstones up at the back, which acts as the roll bar. They come up in about 1/3 of a second, and they're solid steel, so they protect you in the case of a rollover accident. There's your new rear silencer. Those are in case you wonder what I'm rabbiting on about here, that's what we're talking about, commonly referred to as the tombstones, which are solid steel billets that fire up out of that housing and support the car upside down if heaven forbid it turns over. So I think that's probably about all I can tell you. The car is fully described on our website, ccbenz.co.uk. It's an absolutely gorgeous piece of equipment, and one that certainly if I did not have a 320 CE of my own, Cabriolet, which is now part of the family because I've had it since 2001, I would seriously be considering adding this one to my collection. But you're very welcome to add it to your collection instead. So thanks for watching the video, and we hope to hear from you soon.